right, let's look. I'm looking for something here to get on the screen to make it stop going bonkers because it's not focusing in on anything. And all I want to do is see if I can get this to settle down. Let's see if I do that. Welcome to Tabletop Baseball TV, and this is CP Cards and Dice, and we played game 112 of our 2019 Mets replay. I started playing 2019 because I started feeling kind of nostalgic for the 2020 season that we're not having and kind of seeing the modern players. I want to go over what happened to me today. I was, I picked up, I swapped my daughter. I took her computer and I gave her my more modern computer, and her computer seems to be giving me some issues, and I recorded a game today that just so happened to vanished into thin air, and it happened to be a no-hitter. Yeah, so I say a no-hitter that I actually recorded, and how often does that happen? It was the Marlins at Mets at Citi Field in, I can't remember the exact date, but the Marlins play the Mets, and it starts off with it's Birdie, Diaz, and Cooper for the Marlins. Then Anderson, Castro, Ramirez, and then Brinson, Alfaro, and Dugard. Dugard starting for the Marlins against Jacob deGrom and the Mets. I'm going to go over this pretty quickly. So the first inning starts off by deGrom striking out the first batter, walks Diaz. There's 1 on and 1 out, and then he strikes out Cooper and Anderson. In the second inning, it's a leadoff walk to Castro. And then it's a strikeout, and then he walks Brinson. So first and second, he's allowed 3 walks in 2 innings, and that's highly unusual. Then he comes back and strikes out Alfaro and Dugard, pitcher. Top of the third for deGrom, he strikes out Birdie, Diaz, and then gets Cooper to fly out. He's got 8 strikeouts in 3 innings so far. So far, so good. Okay, in the top of the 4th inning, deGrom faces Anderson, and he gets him to fly out to center fielder, who's out there, Lagares. And then it's a ground ball to second base, and McNeil picks it up and throws over Alonso's head, allowing Castro to go to second. So it's a 2-base error on McNeil. So a runner on second now, and it's Ramirez. He grounds out to third, and then Brinson flies out to center. So that's 4 innings, 3 walks, no hits. We go to the 5th inning, and it's going to be Alfaro leading it off, the pitcher Dugard, and then Birdie, the shortstop. And Alfaro grounds out to first. Alonso takes it himself, and it's a fly out to shallow right field. Coming in for it is Conforto. And Birdie, with 2 outs in the top of the 5th, flies out to center for Lagares. And I believe there was a play that Lagares made a diving catch on, and I think that's a little bit later. I believe that's a little bit later in the game. All right, so we go to the top of the 6th, and it's going to be Diaz. Isan Diaz leading off. He strikes out. Cooper grounds to first, and then Anderson strikes out. We go to the 7th inning. It's going to be Castro leading off. He flies out to center, and Lagares gets there. Then it's Ramirez who grounds out to the first baseman. Alonso and Brinson strikes out. So that's 7 innings complete, no hits so far, 3 walks. And how many strikeouts? 11 strikeouts after 7 innings. By this point, the Mets are leading 4-0 on home runs by Frazier, Lagares, solo shots by Frazier, Lagares, Alonso, and then a double and a single by Conforto, Davis, and an error sandwiched in there. So the Mets are up 4-0. We go to the top of the 8th. Top of the 8th, it's the bottom of the order. Alfaro, the catcher, strikes out. Then they bring up a pinch hitter. It's going to be the lefty Granderson, and he's the one who sends the ball deep into the gap, and it's a great diving catch by Lagares to save the day there. And then it's a comebacker with 2 outs in the top of the 8th, and it's muffed by deGrom, and Birdie reaches first safely. So 2-out runner on first, and that's going to bring up Diaz, and Diaz flies out to right field for out number 3. So 8 innings of no-hit ball. There's been a couple errors by the Mets so far and 3 walks. Well, By this point, deGrom is considered fatigued officially, so we're going to have to use the fatigue rules. Cooper comes up and he strikes out, so that's 1 out. So he's 2 outs away from a no-hitter. Then he walks Anderson, and back-to-back walks to a fatigued walk to Castro. Out comes Mickey Callaway and decides he's going to allow deGrom, who convinces him to pitch to the last couple of batters, and gets Ramirez the next batter, and he grounds out to third baseman. Frazier goes second for 1, back to first for 2, and that is the completion of the no-hitter by Jacob deGrom. 5 walks, no hits, 5 walks, no runs, 13 strikeouts for Jacob deGrom, this no-hitter. This is game 112. It took me 40 minutes to play, so that was pretty outstanding. And it was a blast. So this is the first game of a doubleheader. I will be playing the second game of the doubleheader, which is going to be Alcantara versus Locke in a little while. But I just wanted to share this experience with you, since for some reason, somehow, my computer did not record this game officially. I don't understand why. Everything the computer did, everything the laptop did, seemed like it was recording. The numbers were ticking. It said live. When I went to share the video, it would not share. I don't know, there was some sort of disconnect that occurred at some point, but I'm going to have to switch this one out just because, unfortunately, this is a classic game that will probably never happen to me again. And I had it on, I recorded it, and it never, then I eventually lost it. But I do have this recorded in Replay Baseball, which I put the stats in there. But I do have the score sheet, and I will be keeping the score sheet as a memento. I don't remember the last time I had a no-hitter. It may have been 20 years ago. I don't know if I'll ever have another one. It's just the nature of the beast. I did have one in 2015. Well, it wasn't one. It went to 8 innings, 8 2/3 innings, and the last batter got a single. And I can't remember who it was. I don't know if you remember if it was Syndergaard or if it was Cologne, or I don't know. It was the 2016 Mets. So anyway, that's my report on the no-hitter by Jacob deGrom using Inside Pitch Baseball. And the line score was the Marlins, no runs, no hits, 1 error. The Mets, 4 runs, 6 hits, 2 errors. And the runs were scored predominantly by the solo shots by Frazier, Lagares, and Alonso. Let's see if you cards and dice anything. Thanks for checking this out. Bye now.